Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Bloomberg Digital June webinar. My name is Brittna Terrace. I'm the COO of Bloomberg Digital. We have a very special webinar agenda for you today. You will hear from Amy Olson, our VP Expansion, who's going to warm up with some social media quizzing, wins, and a very cool download. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about social media and SEO and things to look out for that. And then the main event, why you are all here, is you will hear from Dr. Mark Dill, multi-practice owner, businessman, team builder, great giver of potty training advice. He's a family man. He does it all. So Dan will be joining us shortly. They're going to have a very dynamic and informative discussion. I can't wait to get to that part. So that's what we have in store for you today. And let's kick it off with Amy and Miriam. Let's do our social media warm up.
Okay, I have to say that I really added this slide last minute because Dr. Dill is a self-taught architect, I guess. If you saw what the chicken coop that he built, it's not even correct that it's called a chicken coop because most people would like to live in it.
It's a chicken mansion.
It's a chicken mansion. So although what you see on the screen, Clarence is not a chicken, but his mother is a chicken. So I wanted to give you an update. In April, I brought a 2-day-old baby duck to our webinar, and you see him on the left. Look at him now on the right. He's bigger than his chicken mama, and he's doing very well. And I wanted you guys to see that.
And the picture doesn't show it, but when he was in my home studio in April, because Amy, yes, she brought a chicken into my house. It was tiny, like my hand. And now this thing is about this big. Very cute.
Anyhow, the other purpose of showing this to you is, although I don't deal in animals as my job, I am an animal lover, and it's a little bit about me. The purpose of organic photos of different topics, subjects, is very important to your social media of your practice. So I want you to tell me, what idea do you get as a consumer when you see this photo? Like, put in the chat, what comes to mind? Do you think I'm crazy? Don't answer that. That was rhetorical. Okay. I know a lot of you, we had personal texts and love this update, but what idea do you get from this? Animal lovers, exactly. So that's just a thing. Like, who doesn't love animals and children? It's just a thing. You got to sprinkle that in because it shows love. It honestly shows love and caring. Okay, let's go to the next.
One more thing I wanted to add here. It's now statistically proven that you have to add even non-dental stuff and things like this that attract interest to then get people to watch your educational and dental content. And I'm sure Dr. Dill will touch on that a lot more than I am, but there's just a little datum for you. Next slide.
Okay, this is just a collage of photos that I wanted to show you. These are organic. Most of them were just like, hey, let's take a picture. It wasn't a professional photo shoot, right? Take a look at these. And again, these are a lot of our team, like our team from Bloomberg. And I want you to pick your favorite one. I want you to tell me what your favorite photo is and why.
We're looking. Like, notice how the top left picture, Alan, our executive vice president for digital innovation, even though he has a boss lady sign, he's so photogenic, it doesn't even pop out, right? Or the third picture on the top, I sit in the background, blurred away, and I have a flower halo over my head.
It was actually
I think that's the coffee picture, I think, wins. Mickey, because I love her. That's from Dr. Gary, and cute. So like the Mickey picture. Dream team.
Shows teamwork. Okay, so Toria said shows teamwork and fun. That's exactly right. Thank you so much, you guys. Okay, let's do the next slide. Again, so this is more clients and some of our team sprinkled in. You have everything from Amy Evelyn from Dr. Burden's office winning the April photo contest. You have Miss Carmen right next to her, who is in this webinar right now. You have Amy and Sharon from Dr. Burden. Anyhow, I want you to pick not just what your favorite is, but what's the photo that stands out to you as a consumer, and what does it tell you? What does it tell you? What's the communication?
I love the bottom right one. Dan and
well, they're the OGs.
The bet, yeah.
We have Rushi, Dr. Philemon, Dr. Rich,
yeah,
and Mr. Dan Brown.
That's
is everyone answering?
Oh, geez, please. Yes.
Okay, good. Good. So the purpose of this is just to sprinkle in and show you what we're really talking about today, and that organic photos are life and they're everything. Okay, next, this is our content inspiration calendar, and there's a QR code. So I want you to go ahead and take a shot of that. This will help you with your social media. You can download it if you scan it. Just gives you some inspiration. These are upcoming holidays, so you can plan, okay, we're going to get these type of photos and whatnot.
Also, let us know in the chat box if you're done downloading it and you're good, or give us a thumbs up or something like that. And if you need it afterwards, you can always email one of us and we'll get it to you.
Yeah. Okay, on with the next here. All right, a couple wins and successes, because the reason that we are here is for you. When you win, when your practice grows, that's what we're here for. And we love that, honestly. Dan wouldn't hire people that didn't care, and we care. I love the fact that the first one that I'm going to bring up, there are 4 representatives here from that practice. Dr. Jessica Mansfield. So Dr. Jessica and her team have been clients for about 5 years, and they recently started getting found from consumers looking up on AI, specifically ChatGPT, and finding their office. So we love that. And that is a glimpse into the future, because that will be happening a lot more with people searching on AI to find their dentist, as well as other things.
Mm-hmm. And that's something that we're going to go into deep detail in today's webinar, because that is all caused by organic content, especially video content that you post on your different platforms.
That's right. Next is Dr. Rosenthal, who's a newer client. As you guys have experienced as dentists and staff, you'll have people that come in that are nervous. They're afraid of the dentist. So we have that too. This doctor had no experience with marketing, and so she was uncomfortable. Cut to 2 months later, her website's rolling. She's been working tightly with our team. She now has the certainty and confidence that she didn't know she could get, and she is now rolling on her marketing. And we love to see this. That's, again, why we're here.
And she only started with us on the 11th of March. So
wow.
This is only about 2.5 months ago, 3 months ago now. Yeah, pretty good.
And then we have, of course, Dr. Vera and Rich Salvatore, who are rocking on their implant funnel. Just last month, they got 13 new patients, 270,000 in production. That's just from that 1 month on that one service. They happen to be on all of the services that we have. Okay, Dr. Jacob Avner, who is a friend of mine and long-term client. They're in NYC, and they are seeing more leads from their Google ads than ever in history. So I love that for him. Dr. Athens, Dr. Demi Athens, very close to our heart. We hear about her a lot because her account manager talks her up all the time. She started last year with an average of 14 new patients. So cut to a year later, she just had her highest ever at 55. She is working on her tracking, leads management, how to track ROI, new patients, and we absolutely love this result. Like this is what we're here for, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing that's important to notice on Dr. Athens is when they started, as Amy correctly said, they were getting 14 new patients. So we looked at what is the biggest pain point? What can we positively do with marketing to get them to the next level? And then we did that one service. And from there, they started growing. And then we did a new analysis, looked at what's the next best step, and we added that. It was very strategic. And now they're on 3 different services with the end result of having 55 new patients a month. And that's not just a one-off. It has been gradually increasing the entire time. And that's kind of what we all want, right? It's that stability, not just a one-off, one-hit wonder, but a strategic, really well-designed marketing plan. And there you go.
There you go. And I learned this from Estefania, who's our production exec. This is a little symbol for love. So there you go. I just wanted to show you that.
Good.
And now I turn it back over to our illustrious leader, Britt Nateras.
As I mentioned, I wanted to briefly touch on some new updates in the digital world and how social media relates to your SEO. So everyone has been hearing AI, and that's great. And we want to let you know some specifics on that. So since June of last year, if you have a public Instagram profile or a public Facebook profile, Google and other AI tools, I mean, Google's not an AI tool, Gemini is, they are crawling your social media feeds and they are looking at that just as they look at your website. What does this mean? 2 things. One is that there was a period of time where Google was like on top, super king. Chrome, you have Google Chrome for browsing, you have your Gmail, you have your Google Maps, you have your Google reviews, you have your Google business profile. And it was kind of dominating that zone. And during that time, some people were like, I don't care about Yelp. I'm just going to focus on my Google reviews. You have to do all those things. But now, if you have an AI chatbot or agent, they are reviewing your entire digital presence online outside of the Google ecosystem. They are looking at Yelp. They are looking at ZocDoc. They are looking at all of your listings. They are looking at your website. So the AI is acting like a person who's looking at everything. So if someone says, hey, ChatGPT, like my tooth hurts, should I go to the dentist? The walls of Google have been broken down a bit and it's looking at your entire digital footprint. And social media is part of that. In the past, if you did a social media post and you're like, I didn't get any likes, I didn't get any clicks, some people would take those down. They might be embarrassed that it didn't get enough traction. There are people who don't comment and who don't like, but who see your content. That content is super valuable. And now with AI, the AI is not liking your post, it's not commenting, but it's all part of your digital footprint. So it's very important for you to move up the rankings of your SEO and be found in more of these search factories, these AI farms and things when people are searching. So it's a different landscape. I want you to all think with social media as a tool to increase your ranking. So if you're on our Google marketing platform, that applies to all of your posts, all of your blogs, and AI loves our video scripts. If you're on our premium SEO, it dovetails with all of that. If you're on those or you're not, we're going to put up a slide here so that you can get an analysis from Miriam to just find out where you stand. We think Apple is going to come out with its own reviews system shortly. That was something Dan and I were chatting about yesterday. So just something to think with on everything that's coming and everything that ties together. It's a bit of a different landscape, and we want everybody thinking with that and how important this is. So if you want an SEO analysis of where you stand today, June 2026, reach out to Miriam, give her a call, see where you stand. But I really want everyone thinking with the more social media you build, the earlier you are to market, the more content you have, the more it's going to push all of this forward and the better return on all of your marketing you are going to get. That is my spiel about that. Let's get to the main event then. So we have Dr. Mark Dill, multi-practice owner, business mentor. He's at MGE all the time. He's built a killer team. Obviously, his partner in crime, Toria, is on the call with us here. And I'm just looking for Dan to highlight him.
I mean, is Dan here? I mean,
is Dan here? Dan, paging Dan.
Welcome everybody here on this webinar. Everybody give Dr. Dill and his team a big round of applause for making it go right to talk to you today about all they've done to build their practices. Dr. Dill, first of all, again, thank you for being here. And I just like to ask this one question. You've got a number of practices now. You've got a big team. How many employees?
Over 100 is what I'm told.
Yeah, what I'm told. I love it. All right. But when you came to MGE and when you started with Blumberg Digital, it was a different picture. It was a different picture.
Right.
And I want you to just rewind back to you ever jumping into this system at all. Can I ask what your viewpoint was about marketing in general? What did you do? What didn't you do? This is all prior to MGE and Blumberg Digital.
Well, I'm not cool enough to be online. So, maybe MySpace, I was hanging out there waiting for everybody to come back. I wasn't on Facebook, no reviews, probably literally almost none. Yeah, as far as like life as a whole, I was doing everything. I didn't understand anything about team and, building a team and an organization, having coordination and systems in place. I was busy. I was running around like a chicken with his head cut off and trying to make it go right. And so I guess what life looked like was selling out to corporate looked pretty good to me. Sell out. I'd built a practice, sell out and be retired. I wasn't old enough to be retired. I wasn't really even, rich enough to be retired either, but I could be a chicken farmer for a while, sell my egg on the corner. Yeah, that was 2019.
Wow.
So,
Wow. Everybody go ahead and get your questions in the chat. This is for you. This is for you. So Dr. Guerin asked, curious how long ago this was. So 2019. Dr. Dill, I remember how many reviews you had because you joined us up at the New Patient Workshop up in New York. You had 35 reviews, and I think pretty close to you, if not right across the street or right down the road. You had a practice that had just a whopping number of reviews, and you're like, Dan, do I even bother with getting these reviews? I mean, this place down the road's got 400 or something like that, and I'm at 35 reviews. I mean, do I even bother? How close was that practice? Do you remember the one I was talking about?
yeah, you could throw a rock and hit their building. And, you know, right around me is about 11 or 12, maybe even more now, dentists that are just right there, walking distance nearly. And, you know, patients are always, you know, you got a lot of dentists around here that you compete with. But once you become MG trained and you get everything, all your systems in place, you don't compete with dentists. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. I hear this a lot. You know, I've got lots of competition. We at MGE and Blumberg Digital. It's like the competition aren't the 15 practices within a half block around you. The competition and the real fight is the ignorance that our potential new patients and some of our existing patients have about the subject of oral health. And that's the fight. And I think you've directed your team well against that worthy opponent, you know, because these other practices, they're not really opponents. They're, you know, they're fellow players in a game to help people get healthier. Would you say that viewpoint shift happened early on or recently? Because I know your team has it. Your team isn't competitive against the other practices. They have the pride of the fact that it's Nooga Dentistry and the other practices over any others. But would you say that was something happened early on or midway through?
Maybe a little bit sooner than midway through, but as we started to kind of like build everything, because, you know, as we're starting to kind of like become our own, you got COVID then that happened. And so you kind of had like, okay, well, let's pause for a minute, address this, and then move on. So probably directly after COVID, it's like, wow, you know, the systems and everything that we had in place, thank goodness we did. It made COVID I mean, as a matter of fact, we grew by $1 million the year of COVID. And that was because, you know, you had Jeff and Sabri going on live every week, giving us updates. And then we had Blumberg saying, look, now's not the time to retract. Now's the time to double down. Everybody else is, you know, pulling off and parking on marketing, and you're going to come out like way stronger. And so we took the advice of both MGE and Blumberg during COVID. We think about like, well, who's on our team internally and how good are they? But, you know, all your third-party companies that you're doing business with, like Blumberg and MGE, those are people that you want in your box, because if you want to be elite, then you want to have an elite team. And Blumberg and MGE go hand in hand because it's, you know, utilizing the same tech. So we all speak the same language. And, you know, you've got the best dentist in America using Blumberg and getting results with Blumberg. So why would you not take the advice? Because marketing is a fast-moving world, faster now than it ever has been, you know, with technology and AI and everything. So you have to rely on a third-party company or an external company to be able to keep up with what's going on in the world of marketing.
Interesting you say that, because, I mean, you, along with a handful of others that are Blumberg Digital clients, the Salvatores, Arvin Filliman, the Trivettis, I would say, as much as you're saying that, you know, you got to have an external company. I mean, y'all are pretty hands-on. I mean, you're deep, deep, deep in it. And I know that for a fact. And I think you've kind of earned that because you're out clinical now. You're not doing clinical dentistry ever, if at all, are you?
No, I mean, unless it's like a really good friend or a family member that I like. Right.
So you moved up the org board. You're now properly the CEO. You've got your amazing COO, Toria Plank, who's here. And Toria, I'm going to have you pipe up here in a second. And you guys have put managers on post in each of the practices. Congratulations on your 4th practice acquisition. And you're able to actually drill in and do a lot more from a marketing standpoint, but still you would advise because you're doing it to stay connected with an external marketing company, keep that edge. Is that what I'm getting?
Oh yeah, it makes me better as a CEO to kind of understand, what you guys are up against and what you guys are doing on your end.
Yeah.
So it makes sense for me to kind of say, okay, well, I'm going to study this and understand it. But at the same time, there's so much stuff that needs to be done inside our walls too, because on a daily basis, we should be creating some content and then partnering with strategic partners that are local, because that also creates social media content. Those are things that a external company can't really do for you. So we focus on the things that an external company can't do for us, that support you guys, and then let you guys do what you're experts at.
Yeah, fantastic. Mm-hmm. Good. So back to the beginning. You had 35 reviews, and I think at that time your main focus was, let's just get reviews. Mm-hmm. And you did. And you got a bunch of them. And we might bring in Tori to just talk a little bit about that in the earlier days, because Tori was there. I remember she was leading the parade. And you bopped up past that practice. You got over the 400, and then you got 500, and then you got 700, and then you got 800. And I remember even for the 1,000, you played a game. I think it was either miniature golf or the spa day. You guys have done games. And today, if I go check and see what you're at here, I might just do this. Nooga Dentistry. Everybody, just take a look at this. I mean, this is just phenomenal. 3,535. I mean, is there anybody anywhere in Chattanooga that has anywhere near this? No. Is there anybody in Tennessee that has this many reviews? As a dental practice, no. Dr. Dill, can you tell me about the impact of reviews? And you guys continue to get them. It's not like you hit 1,000 or 1,200 and you stopped. Why do you continue to pour the coals on this fire? Tell me.
I was resistant to get reviews. It's funny that, I've got so many of these reviews because you had actually told me, hey, look, you need to focus on reviews. And I was like, okay, yeah. And then finally I was convinced, and man, am I glad that you got me convinced, because this is a gift that keeps on giving. When you get the reviews, patients come in because of the reviews. But what do you think when a patient comes in because of a review? What do you think they're going to do? They're going to leave a review too. It's like this engine that just is automatically running, but at the same time, because Google owns reviews and we're all wanting rankings, and primarily, we can do pay-per-clicks and stuff or Google ads, but if we're trying to rank organically even, well, Google owns it all. So it's pulling, your reviews, and that you're active with the reviews and how good your reviews are. And if people are, writing a message or whatever, Google's reading all of that. And as Britt had mentioned earlier about the AI bots and everything, well, they're all reading your reviews as well and figuring out that, okay, well, what are these people saying about the office? So if somebody types in a gentle dentist or a really nice dentist, or, some, word that is not just the best dentist, they're picking up on what the patients are actually saying about us. So yeah, to keep getting reviews, it makes sense, because, patients are reading these things. They don't want to read a review from somebody from 2 years ago. And then, of course, the staff, they've come to like asking patients to get reviews because they get rewards for that. We play games with it. So
right.
It's good.
So for everybody who's watching, I'm just going to make a comment. What Dr. Dill's just said here. Everything that's being said in these reviews is being indexed by Google. Everything. So when the person says, this is the best dental experience I've ever had, it was like the most painless dentistry I've ever had. The staff are great, compassionate. The doctor had such a gentle touch. I got 6 dental veneers and 2 dental implants, and I didn't feel any pain at all. Every one of those statements, Miriam, were you counting?
8.
8. Can you describe? Can you tell people what 8 means here, so that people?
Yeah. So everything he said that was somewhat dental related. Even great team. That's a key word. Implants, veneers, friendly team, pain or pain-free is a keyword. All of those things are things that Google indexes. Based on that, they rank you. And the more often you're mentioned for those keywords, the better.
So that is what Dr. Dill's talking about. And those individuals coming in and sharing those kind words, I really want you to get that. You can't tell the person what to say, obviously. That's not part of the rules. You can't do that. But when we take a look at Dr. Dill's reviews or Nooga specifically, first of all, I just got to do this one more time. Y'all see this number? Do y'all see this number? I mean, this is just, anyways. So I'm going to click on that number, Google reviews, and then I'm going to sort by newest. 5 days ago. So they're adding probably 5, 10 a day. And then every once in a while, it's a 4.9 star rating. And every once in a while, there's going to be a negative review. Dr. Dill, what do you have to say about negative reviews?
Well, it makes it real. If they're reading your reviews and everything is just, it starts to seem fake if everything is good. And I mean, I do the same thing. If I'm, looking at something on Amazon or I'm looking at a restaurant review or something like that, so you kind of want like real authentic stories, good or bad. I mean, obviously you only want bad ones every so often, and then you respond to them and make it seem okay. They know that we're not perfect.
35% of people surveyed said they don't trust a business that doesn't have negative reviews. Yeah. So just reinforcing what we've said 100 times, you're going to get them. This planet is imperfect. People are imperfect. And people know that no business is perfect. That's one thing. And people also know that there are people out there that are just kind of crazy and nutso and everything. And as long as you're responding to those reviews and every one of your reviews, which they are currently doing, every one of their reviews they're responding to. That's right, Giselba. You can pick that up. Love those responding reviews. So that's a great job. Before we go on to there is a question in the chat I'm going to take up. But hey, Miss Toria Plank, can you unmute for me? My dear. Toria, you have worked tirelessly with Dr. Dill on this strategy about reviews. And I would like you two to just kind of talk about some of the games and what you've probably invested in those games, like the money spent, because you guys put some big money in that. To what end, what result, and what do you see, Toria, as the product of having put all this time, effort, and now money into getting your team behind getting reviews?
For us, like what Dr. Dill said, it's the gift that keeps on giving. So we can pay a company to like try to boost our SEO, all we do, which we do, we pay y'all. But you still have to have these internal things going on to help boost that. As far as like reviews and stuff go, Dr. Dill has invested a lot of money in it, but it's also the return on it is insane. Nooga sees over 250 new patients a month. And that's a regular stat. To spend a couple $100 here and there to get that return, it's a no-brainer, right? But for our staff wants to have raises and they have things that they want to achieve themselves. But Dr. Dill made a point a long time ago, and it was very like on point. Most of the dental field is primary women, and us women, we are notorious of putting our bonuses towards bills or our kids or giving it to our spouse. So when we play these games, these are this is a reward for their self. It could be, they get $5 a review unless we really need to push down, one of those psycho people. And so then it may become $10 a review, but we always put a cap on it. If we're trying to get through another, like hitting 1,000 reviews, we played as a whole, let's get 100 reviews by X date. And we go to a spa or Top Golf or those sort of things. But not only does one of our practice have that large amount of reviews, all three of our practice has a large amount of reviews. But the staff takes pride in that because they get incentivized for it. But they also know like what it brings in for the practice, and it gives them a little bit of ownership towards it. But the sky's the limit when it comes to games. It literally comes down to what are you willing to pay for, and survey your team and see what they want. I can give you all the games we play, but that doesn't mean that interests your staff. Surveying your staff is a big, big deal. And then coming up with a budget. But keep in mind that money is very short, and you're going to like outlive that money by far. And the reward of it from getting your new patients is phenomenal.
Love that. Thank you, Toria. Dr. Dill, what would you say that you spend or you budget, if I can ask, on these games that you play and the rewards and in and around the subject of incentivizing your team to get reviews?
I would say that it can be flexible and it can vary. I mean, you might spend a couple $100 to play a game. You might spend $500 in a month, playing games, but we always try to have games going on, whether we need to focus on reviews or care to share, whatever, we will always have a game going with the staff. You got to change up the games, but like Toria said, if you've got a bad review, and you're wanting to push it down, then you might put a little bit more into it and be willing to kind of splurge. So I think more importantly than just like budgeting, it's the how do you play the game? Because I've seen people try to implement this and then they say, oh, well, our patients won't leave reviews, or our patients, they don't have Gmail accounts, like whatever. So more importantly, I think how you roll it out to your staff is the key to get them to want to play the game. You've got to interest them in playing the game. And it's kind of like awkward for them. Rather than criticize the staff and say, well, my staff just won't ask patients, it's more, why would they not want to ask them? I mean, it's kind of weird because you're asking a patient for a compliment, essentially. And so you've got to be able to teach your staff how to do it and drill it out, just like when it comes to selling treatment and that sort of thing. And an easy conversation starter is, have you ever bought anything off of Amazon? And they're going to say, well, yeah, the patient will. And you say, have you ever read the reviews and then decided not to buy something? And the patient, will say, yes. And so when you can kind of like give your staff a little bit of data so that they can utilize that to be a conversation starter, then they can roll it into, well, that's how patients find their dentist now. They don't want to hear from me because, I'm here. I think that it's a wonderful place to get your teeth worked on, but they want to hear what it's like to be you and sitting in that chair. Would you mind leaving us a review? And of course, have the QR codes and everything ready to go to make it easy for the patient and quick. Don't do this when they're standing at the front desk and they're putting their, pulling their keys out of their purse, about to head to the car. Do it while you're sitting there waiting on the doctor. This helps pass the time.
Yeah.
And then we may give the staff an incentive of $5 for every review left. A lot of times people ask, well, how do you track that? Well, they have to come to you and say, hey, look, here was a review that was left, and that was mine. And, so the office manager keeps up with that. But you could pay $10 per review, and then you may say up to $100, and then you got to put a time limit on it. So, shorter the better. So I've seen my staff get 100 reviews in a 2-day time period while me and Tori were in Tampa,
right,
at MGE. So they don't need us and they can get after it. So maybe a time period of, if I was doing it right now and it's like June the 16th, I'd say, okay, from now up to the 4th of July, and try to make it a date that people track. Now till Father's Day, now till 4th of July, now to the end of the month, something like that.
Beautiful. Love that. Thank you for that. Good. Now there's a question in the chat. I'd love you to just take this subject up because interesting, and we say it all the time at Blumberg Digital, is 80% of the marketing that you employ with us is going to be done by us, but there's 20% that's going to be done by you. And that's going to include the reviews. That's going to include getting video content. That's going to include you grabbing social media content and making interesting localized posts rather than the generic stuff that's just, kind of boring and dismal. Dr. Torres is here and he said, Dr. Dill, could you give an example of internally creating content and also an example of strategic partners that are local, and how does that relate to content?
Well, one, as far as like what I've noticed is, if you've got strong reviews, strong care to share in your office, this helps support what Blumberg does for you. And it makes you where maybe your care to shares are down 1 month, but like Blumberg is like really bringing them in, and then maybe Blumberg's down a little bit, but care to share is way up. So it kind of helps keep your new patients coming in. It keeps you on that growth path because you're going to have a little bit of fluctuation no matter what. No matter how consistent you try to be across the board, everyone's going to have a little bit of fluctuation, but obviously you want it to be like this, moving up, not that, where everything's crashing. So then everything that we create in the office then goes to support Blumberg. So when it comes to creating content, Yes, like you try to stay on trends and the funny little dances and whatever's hot that you're going to entertain people. But quite honestly, I prefer to think of it a little bit more of like providing some value for them, some educational type stuff, some real things that you're doing, and then also entertain them. And quite honestly, they don't really have to be an either or. You could find a creative way to be able to teach them about implants or, crowns or, oral health as a whole. I know the Salvatores, they, sat on the little bench, and they did the leaning, to show, what happens with a wisdom tooth and how it, pushes teeth and stuff. That was, entertaining, but it was also educational. This is a really good example of getting creative with it. And you really don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can, watch the Salvatores, some of the content they create, or us, or anybody that's got like a, good active social media background going on, and you can get ideas, and then make it your own. So when it comes to content creation, you've got all of that that's going on. The second thing that I would say is patient testimonials. That is going to be so powerful. Currently, it's powerful. It always has been powerful, but it's going to be even more powerful moving forward, I think, because as AI kind of comes into play, it's so easy to generate impersonable type content. So when you can get those real and those authentic moments, those emotional moments, that's really what you want coming out of your patients. You want to be able to generate questions when you're talking to them to bring out the emotion. It's not about, well, I didn't like my teeth and I came in here and they were so gentle, they were so good, I didn't even feel the shots, and they just gave me something that looks like me and I just love it. What kind of pain was this causing them before they came in? Pain physically, like possibly, but emotional, and self-esteem and confidence and that sort of thing. And then moving forward, like what's life like since the treatment was done, and capturing those emotional moments. You can see the muscles on their face and stuff, and people really connect with that. Like, why didn't you do this treatment sooner? There's people out there that aren't doing the treatment. Why didn't you do it sooner? And capturing the patient saying, well, I just thought that da 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 da. And somebody's going to go, that's me. That is me right there. The more of these patient testimonials, and honestly, this content is more me. Like, this is rewarding. I don't want to get on there and do some funny little dance and all of that. I am goofy, but I don't know. I'm like, social media is not really my thing personally. I don't sit and scroll and do all that stuff. That's not how I entertain myself, actually. So my preference would be to either, provide some sort of like value and education that's somewhat entertaining, or patient testimonials. And then as far as like local partnerships, we have a zoo and an aquarium here in Chattanooga. Our aquarium pulls a lot of tourists, but our zoo is smaller and there's nobody traveling from around the world to come to the Chattanooga Zoo. So it's mostly locals that are there. And that's ideal for us. Right. So we are huge partners. We go down to the zoo. I've gone down and shot a video on how the giraffe teeth differ from human teeth. We actually used our 3D printer to print a skull of a giraffe that's about this big. Wow. We're going to mount it in a clear acrylic box, and we're going to put it at the giraffe exhibit with a QR code on it. And so when parents are standing there with their kid, they can scan that QR code and show the video of me and the zookeeper talking about the giraffe teeth and human teeth. Meerkats, I've done another one with meerkats. I think next week I'm doing one, or maybe it's this Thursday, I'm doing one with the tortoise. Do tortoise have teeth or not? But I know one thing, I don't want to put my finger in there. I watched it crunch some lettuce. So, that's a good one to partner with. And the zoo really appreciates like everything that we're doing, because, they're a smaller zoo and they can really appreciate this. Plus, we're getting good camera content for them, because they do have a marketing team, but they don't have a camera. Like, somebody that runs a camera. We do.
Wow. Can I just ask on that? I just want to ask on that. I think that's brilliant, by the way. Amazing. How did you get that agreement with the zoo? Like, who did you approach? And it's a brilliant idea, but like, how did that even start?
When you're thinking of some of these things, you just pretty much call them up. I mean, the zoo does have a marketing department. They accept sponsorships. One thing, and Dan, you could probably explain this more precisely than me, but one thing that we negotiate with these people is we want a link to our website on their website. These are nonprofits. These are because AI, the bots that are, crawling all over the place, they are wanting to know, okay, well, who has clout in the community? Who is present in the community? They want to know that like we're affiliated with other trustworthy organizations. Believe it or not, the news is a, trustworthy organization, but just a necessary evil. But, the zoo or a kidney foundation, we've got an Alzheimer's organization and an autism organization here. These are all good things to support. And if you can talk to them and have them be willing to put your logo that links back to your website on their website, that helps support your good local hyper backlinks back over to your website, that then helps with your SEO rankings.
And if I can, Dr. Dill, just so everybody understands what Dr. Dill is talking about, is called a backlink. He said it. A backlink is just simply you're being mentioned externally from your website to your website. So it's a backlink. And for those of you on premium SEO, that's what we're creating. We've got a whole team of guys that are going out, finding credible, well thought of websites and creating articles that mention your website and link back to you. So that's called a backlink. And what that does is that improves your credibility, your authority, like Dr. Dill has said, your trustworthiness from an internet perspective. And that improves your search engine optimization, your SEO. So that improves your ranking. So getting these local relationships from the zoo and from the news, like how many times have you been featured on the news and how did you do that? These were great runs. They were really pretty upbeat, uptone, and you did great in those interviews, I just have to say. Can you talk about how you generated that?
The news loves you as a dentist or dental professional. They love having you on. I mean, you just give them money, honestly. But whether it's the radio, whether it's the news, you're going to go down there and you're going to sit and you're going to do an interview. They will do it live or they will do pre-recorded. So if you're a little bit worried about a flub, that's okay. I almost always do it pre-recorded. There was one point where I was going to be on like the Dancing with the Stars, but local. So I was kind of wanting to talk about that because I don't let the news, you can control them and what they ask you. Like you give them the questions that kind of go off of. Now they'll put it into everyday language, but you're talking about the topics that you want to talk about. Well, I was wanting to talk about supporting the Kidney Foundation and all of this stuff coming up, because it's more of like PR and a little bit of education. So it's not like, we got $59 new patient specials and, buy one, get one free. We're not doing that. We don't sound like a car dealership, when we, go on the news. The anchor interviewed me and he totally went off script, didn't ask anything about anything, was completely unprepared. And I said, that's a no-go. We're going to record this again. And I went back down there a different day and we recorded it again, not with him. And I don't do it with him anymore. But yeah, so you can have more control. It doesn't have to be as intimidating as what it seems. And quite honestly, when you are doing your videos for training and stuff like that, or your social media videos, the news is a lot less intimidating once you're used to that. Because when you're doing your social media videos, you're talking to a camera. But when you go down to the news, you're talking to a human. There happens to be a camera in the room, but you're talking to a person. And it just seems like a casual conversation, and you've done it 1,000 times, or probably way more than that, tens of thousands of times, talking to patients.
Right. Dr. Dill, are you comfortable saying like, what did it cost? Like, how's that relationship work with the news? What did you pay for? How much time? And did they give you the content that you could use on your own website? Because I see it on your website.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They make it available to you. And that's actually like, it benefits them. It benefits us because they're going to post this on their website and it lives there forever, as far as I mean, unless they have some, major restructuring or something, but it lives there. It's not like it automatically comes down after 90 days or anything. So they put that content on their news channel and they refer to me as, an expert. What do you think, like when AI gets the transcripts of all of this content, AI is going to say, oh, here's the news referring to this guy as the expert in the community on implants. So sometimes the shows may be called Ask the Expert even. And then you're on that show and yeah, humans will see it, but I'm also after AI seeing it. Right. So as far as the expense goes, we have 3 news channels, ABC, NBC, and CBS. There is Fox, but we haven't done anything. I don't know if we have a local Fox, but the 2 main ones here in Chattanooga are ABC and NBC. And ABC local, they're a little bit more expensive. I'm spending maybe $2,500 to $3,000 a month on that. And then on the NBC is more expensive, and that's the one that's $2,500 to $3,000. ABC is a little bit cheaper. It's more like, I think, a $1,200 package. Yep. And you can kind of you can negotiate that stuff, because what they're going to do is they're going to try to run that cost up on you, and they're going to give you all these commercials and all this stuff. And it's like, really, I just want a 3 to 5 minute segment once a month. I'll come down there once a month, shoot a 3 to 5 minute segment. You can do a couple little advertisements here and there, but I'm really not after the advertisements. And they'll take that package and they'll tailor it down for you to where you're just going on the news, because that video gets posted, you get access to it, and then you can post it on your own website.
Fantastic. Did you spend any money or sponsor anything with the zoo when you did the zoo relationship?
Yes. I mean, all of these, cost some money.
Yeah.
So with the zoo, I think it was like $600 a month or something like that. And that's an ongoing relationship with the zoo.
Great.
And then we're title sponsors for University of Tennessee at Chattanooga, which is a smaller university here. They got all the sports and all of that stuff. And so we're title sponsors with them as well.
Good. Let's talk on marketing channels. Everybody, you're welcome to put your questions in the chat, and I'll be the kind of moderator here. Thank you to those people who've done so thus far. But until I have those questions, I'm just going to rip and run. So, Dr. Dill, you're now doing TV and zoo, and then you got this amazing Jeep that's been customized, branded, and for the recording, I'm going to put a picture of that Jeep up. Pretty impressive. These are all marketing channels, and you've been following kind of the playbook every step of the way, adding another marketing channel as you increase your income, and now you have more marketing budget, adding another marketing channel, adding another marketing channel. Now you're probably up to about, 17 to 20 marketing channels if we broke them down individually. You did what we did from the beginning. You got your reviews, you worked on your hard sell, and you did the ABCs at MGE, and you learned how to increase your case acceptance, increased your numbers. And then we've got you a nice website now. Happy with your website?
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, good. And then we got going with some Google ads. And then we added Meta, which is Instagram, Facebook. And then we did reactivation. That's the lowest hanging fruit. What are your thoughts on reactivation program and for a practice that hasn't done that in a while?
Yeah, so it's kind of weird for me in a way, because I feel like, with reactivation, it's a must. We should just always be doing it and working on it. In the strictest sense, it's considered, marketing. But the weird part for me is it's like, to me, it just seems like it's operations. Like it, right. That should just be something that we always are doing. Patients, they're overdue. Let's get them in. They don't realize that, just because they haven't been in forever, they still consider themselves patients. Time flies when you're having fun. That, most of the time they don't even realize how long it's been. Getting a hold of people nowadays, they're busy. And so timing is everything. And so being able to, push out communication to patients is the key in being able to reach these people and get them scheduled. They want to be scheduled. It's just a matter of timing.
I mean, we know it's dentistry isn't top of your, things I want to do this week list, and people forget about it. Tori, I'm going to call on you because you've been making some mentions here in the chat. It is currently our at Blumberg Digital. And the reason why we bring it as a marketing thing, because we digitalize it. A lot of our offices just, you don't have 5 staff that you could just put on constant outflow to all your patients that have fallen off the wagon a little bit on their routine hygiene visits and such. So anybody 8 months or more, we put into a digitalized process at Blumberg Digital. And it's our least expensive marketing that has probably some of the biggest punch. But Toria, talk about what Reactivation has done and how you guys use it.
So with Blumberg's Reactivation, it is phenomenal. One, they send out all these blast texts. They send them out pretty consistent. But instead of them opting out of our numbers, they're opting out of Blumberg. Well, Blumberg has like 1,000 numbers they can use, guys. So they just put them right back in it. But we have one employee instead of 20 employees pushing all that outflow. And it comes automatically back to that employee saying, yeah, I want to make an appointment. And it's like right in the moment. So we're able to get on the phone or text them back and say, yeah, let's go back on the schedule. We probably, on average, schedule about 6 to 8 of those a day from the reactivation program, that's a large number for reactivation. Now, does it ever slow down in between that? Yes, there's slow moments just like any other time. But what my reactivation coordinator does is they're working on the back end, reaching out to those people that maybe didn't stay in calm with that text messages and stuff. So it gives them a platform, and there's a dashboard that you can follow. So it's easy to manage like the outcome and income from it. Absolutely highly recommend Blumberg's Reactivation program.
Yeah. And I think one of the best parts about it is that, and I think Dr. Dill, you nailed it. It's not really marketing because they're your patients. They've just, you haven't seen them in 8 months or sometimes 8 years. Have you had that happen, Dr. Dill?
Yeah. I mean, you're absolutely right. Yeah. Some of these patients you haven't seen in a long time. And then when you get them in, they're like, wait, it's been that long?
Right.
And I mean, what's crazy to me is there's offices out there that deactivate patients at the 3-year mark. I mean, the practice we just bought, the office manager was deactivating them at the 3-year mark.
Oh my gosh.
And it's like, wow, these
and if
patients
they
are
missed
still
appointment,
reachable.
she would.
Oh
Found
my
that out. I found that out. If they missed an appointment, she would deactivate them. Found that out yesterday, I think it was.
Oh. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
So adding value, I think, when we discover these things and then we go in there and unactivate these patients and then we start reaching back out to them.
It's not only from a business perspective, an absolute goldmine, but just from a care perspective, somebody who's out there hasn't been a dentist in 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, 8 years. What do you know is going on inside their mouth, doctor?
Yeah, so obviously the longer it's been since they've been in, the more likely it is that they're going to need other restorative care other than just their cleaning. And, they're probably not going to be just a prophy. They're probably going to have some sort of perio procedures as well. Right. So it's absolutely worth the effort to be able to reach out to these patients. Even if we have to chase them down or whatever, it's worth the effort to reach out to these patients and get them scheduled.
Beautiful. Yeah. Good. So now let's take a look. So you've got now 4 practices, this 4th one you just picked up, and you're going to do the whole Mark Dill and team job to it. And I look forward to seeing that. For everybody here who's, listen, I've got a limited amount of time and effort and this sort of thing. You and I were talking yesterday, doctor, what happens to the job, function, or duty that belongs to everybody? It becomes the, abandoned child and really belongs to nobody. And I think one of the first things you did, you assigned the new patient coordinator position. I don't know if you assigned it as a double hat to somebody initially back in the day, but you have since then had someone assigned to be responsible for the marketing, and said person is responsible for getting the before and afters, getting the testimonials, chasing up the reviews. Tell me about how important it is to have somebody held responsible and held accountable to this. And would you suggest it, even if it's going to cost a practice $25 a month, an hour, to have said person hired? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's an absolute must. You have to do it. I learned that lesson probably within the first 6 months of owning my own business. I had 2 employees and everything got done. Now, this was, a decade before MGE training. Yeah. Then I hired a 3rd person and everything got done. I hired a 4th person and nothing got done. Nitrous was left on, water was left on, doors unlocked, lights on, alarm off. And I'm like, I've got twice as many employees now and nothing is getting done. What is the deal here? It was exactly that. People were not assigned roles in the office, hats, so nothing got done. If you have no one, overseeing something, then you might as well expect that you're not going to get too many results. Maybe a really good point here, because we kind of got pretty deep into some of the stuff that I'm doing. This isn't what I was doing in 2019 and when I first started working with Blumberg. This was a gradient. Anybody that's listened to me talk, I say, look, for the doctors, you have good months and stuff you want to take and put back into your practice and continue to build and to continue. And that's when the game really gets fun. It's fun to learn to play tennis, but then once you get like a little bit better, it's even more fun. And a little bit better, it's even more fun. As you're playing the game, you get more and more sophisticated. So don't worry too much, about going way off. Just wherever you're at, decide what the next step is. And I would just rely on you to say, well, what is my next step? And then add something and master it, and then add the next thing and add the next thing. And that's all I've done, is just continue to reinvest in my business and become more and more sophisticated as a business owner and as a business as a whole, because that's gives me a safety net. There's lots of layers of security there that I feel we're better off for all of that. Now, as far as when we first started with a marketing person, I didn't have a marketing person. I was still sitting there on MySpace, but we had a chairside assistant who said, you should have a Facebook page. And she created it for me. And I still didn't know. I didn't get into Facebook until they told me I was going to get murdered for buying stuff off Craigslist. They said, you got to switch over to Marketplace. So they put the app on my phone and I started shopping off of Marketplace. But she moved to Missouri. Well, she was still doing that for us in Missouri. She went back to college and became a school teacher, and she was still doing some of our stuff. And then we had a chairside assistant, and another one, and she kind of took a liking to it. And so she started doing it part-time, and then she went full-time. And so at that point, then we had a full-time person, dedicated to that. And probably ever since, 2020, 2021, 2022, something like that, we've had a full-time person, dedicated to doing this, because there's a lot of moving parts that have to be addressed each and every day. It's not one of those things you just kind of set and forget. It's a little bit more, interactive, and it's fun too, actually.
Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah. Beautiful. A couple other questions came in. So I know the answer to this, but I'd like you to answer it. Dr. Torres says, the awesome Jeep. Does the staff make social media content with the Jeep? And if so, would you mind sharing an example? I'll see if I can drum some of that up. Also, do you do postcards and other marketing channels? Maybe you could answer the postcards one. I know the answer to that. But maybe list all the channels that you would suggest now in retrospect. Like you just started a new practice here. You picked up this, not new practice, but existing practice. What are the marketing channels you have, and in what order?
Okay. All right. On the Jeep, yes, we definitely use it for posts and that sort of thing. My marketing people do drive it around town, and that gets a tremendous amount of interest and people posting about it and taking pictures of it. You can tag the Jeep. So if they're driving around and they take a picture and they post it, then they get entered into a drawing. So we encourage people to look for the Jeep. And then we take it to events and shows. I mentioned autism earlier. They did a Jeep run. So I took the Jeep to a Jeep run for autism, raised money for an autism center. But there was probably about 30 other Jeep lovers that were in this caravan, and we rode all over town together and networked and mingled. And these are just regular people. Oh, that's the Christmas parade. That's fun. We have the cucaracha, I believe, horn on it. So you just hold the horn down and it plays da 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 da. And it's really loud. It gets a lot of attention. Kids love it. It's a ton of fun. So when it comes to, if you just purchase a practice like we did in Knoxville, so this is kind of our playbook as far as priorities and what order we're going to do things. So before we bought the practice, we started working with Blumberg to build the website and get the website ready to go. We even started with some Google ads before we literally closed on the practice just because we know that those things take a little bit of time to kind of kick in and start running. The two most important systems that anybody can focus on in a dental office and probably any business in general is marketing and your sales line. You got to protect your sales line. Well, obviously, sales line isn't really what we're here to talk about, but the dentist and, treatment coordinator, office manager, they're very involved in that. But then on the marketing side, that can get overlooked if you don't have somebody kind of dedicated or taking an interest in it that's also working on it. Some doctors, they love it and, they get pretty involved. Well, on the marketing side, when you take over a practice or you build a practice, in our case, we are purchasing, patient records. So we want reactivation. That's the quickest and easiest way is for us to put somebody on reactivation. And that's what we did. So as we went in, we started figuring out like who does what with the staff that we were inheriting. We shifted some things around and we immediately started getting people calling patients and doing reactivation. We sent out letters, which is the handoff between the outgoing doctor and us. But we also do postcards. We do postcards on a regular basis in our offices. If we can see, office managers are kind of looking on down the road. If we're looking on down the road and we're feeling like, we've got a slump or something slow starting, then we're going to be pushing out postcards in a hurry. We're going to be playing games with our staff, care to share. That's something that we implemented on the second day. Am I like freezing up or going slow?
Yeah, a little bit there, but I think we basically got it.
I am.
Yeah, a little bit.
So we started implementing care to share with the team that's there. We introduced that to them and we got them working on that. And then Google reviews, start working on that, building up the reviews. In this office, they've already got a decent amount for an office that did absolutely no marketing at all. I think they had 200 or 300. So we do have something to build off of.
Nice. So if I could recap for everybody, if I get this right, and you correct me if I don't. So you're going for the lowest hanging fruit, whatever's free, cheap, and easy. So it's a reactivation, Google reviews, care to share, internal marketing, right? And what else? What else is kind of the first attack force on the marketing? Anything else?
Did you say reactivation?
I said reactivation, yeah. And
you did,
and okay. I think you said you started with some Google ads even before you. Right. Yeah. Can I ask what kind of budget you threw at the Google ads?
I want to say it was 5,000 maybe.
I think Toria's got 5, 4 fingers up, 4,000. Is that right, Toria?
4,000 to Google ads and then 1,000 to whatever y'all told us to do.
Yeah, Meta. Yeah, Meta is Facebook and Instagram. So, and for some of you, you kind of go, well, geez, that's a lot. What do you guys think about? Is that a lot?
No.
Yeah, right.
No, it's not a lot. It's a necessary sacrifice. All of these things are sacrifices, but you're not gonna sacrifice for long because they're gonna work. They're proven to work.
Right.
Do them right, they'll work.
Beautiful. And Toria, I'm going to ask you this question on that. Dr. Dill, kind of, what do you think, before I ask Toria this next question, what kind of percentage would you say you use in an index for, like, you just took over this practice, maybe you're going to do a little bit of like a jumpstart growth spurt. What percentage of your collections, and then once the practice is up and rolling, what kind of percentage are you looking at from a marketing budget?
Well, marketing budget, no less than 15% in order to be able to grow. And we might even do a little bit more than that because this practice has a huge ceiling. I mean, we've got operatories that are just sitting there brand new, built out, waiting. So we might even do more than 15%. This office was severely underperforming.
Right.
But I would always maintain, a 10 to 15% marketing budget going through the growth rates or the growth phases. I would start to consider, 8 to 10% if I was kind of getting up there pretty close to maxed out on a practice. But there again, we usually just buy more space and keep going. So
beautiful.
We never consider ourselves fully built.
Yeah. So I just want everybody to understand that 15%. And you said that without any hesitation, Dr. Dill, less than 15%. And if we're going to do a growth spurt or expansion phase or really, attack the opportunity here, it's going to be more. And I think that's kind of difficult for somebody. But here's Toria just going, yep. And Toria, you've gone through this, and I think we've all gone through the shock of like, I'm sorry, how much is going to Google for these stupid little digital ads. We all go through that, and it's frustrating. But okay, good. Now, Toria, here's a question I got for you. We talked briefly about, Dr. Dill and I, about, having somebody on post as a marketing person. And then, I just want to ask you, maybe you got some experience on this one. What about looking for the marketing specialist, the expert out there, and hiring a marketing expert? And should we just let them go and just let them roll? And you got any words of advice and experience on that one?
Oh, but do I?
Wink, wink.
Yeah. So we've had some of our best ones are internal, the ones that are up for trending. You don't have to. Oh, are you coming in and join me now?
Yeah, my computer went dead.
Hi. So one of our best ones are the ones that we can train ourselves. That's very trendy, up to times. You don't have to go find that expert. But do we have those on our payroll? Yes. But we also have had where a person comes in and says they know how to do all this and like they're good, let them be. Well, dummy us, we let them be. And it like plummeted all of our stats. And our stats, you can ask Dan, stay pretty maintained. And it literally shut down our whole market, and we had to let go of somebody very quickly. And Dan and his team was really on it by like notifying us, getting like the ball running very quickly to be able to bring that stat back up to where like Nooga does $1 million a month in collection, pretty regular or close to it. And it dropped our stat down to like 500 and something that month. And I don't know when the last time Nooga has seen those numbers, but because of Dan and his team and our team and everybody going in action to get that person off the line, because we trusted him because he says he has all this and had all the background for it. But what we didn't know is I call it a tornado going on behind the scenes. We was able to bring it back up, in that next month we came back up to like 800 or 900, and then we was back on track again. So we might have took one to the chin, like Dr. Dill likes to say, but Blumberg was on our side and was like quick to get things back rocking and rolling.
Yeah, listen, take some credit here too, lady. You sniffed this out. Now here, I want you all to understand, Dr. Dill and Toria are up above these multiple dental offices, but then also multiple different businesses. At that time, at least, you guys had a bunch of businesses going on. So with that said, and I want to consult you on this, Dr. Dill and Toria, what are some of the indicators that somebody should think with when they got somebody assigned to marketing? What are the traits that are important to you? And what are some of the indicators that'd be like, because the person who's maybe not the best fit for the practice is going to be the first person to finger the marketing company or the external world or, the internal staff is the reason why the stats have dropped. Can you just talk on those points from your observation experience, sir?
Here, Toria.
Yeah. And I want Toria in on this one too. I want to know the traits, the traits that, like Toria, I love what you said. Take your internal team, grab this person who you know, and they're, what are the traits that you're looking for this marketing person? And what are the indicators that you should be like, uh-oh?
As far as red flags, and I'll let Dr. Dill talk about like the good traits. I'll talk about the bad ones. Yeah. But as far as the traits go, that person who's always critical of your SEO companies or your marketing dollars, and you've been pretty consistent with it. MGE teaches you like if they're critical of others, they're probably guilty themselves. So that should be number one red flag for you, just to start investigating at that point. And then the one who doesn't want to show like actual facts to you, data, they always have like a generic number or situation, but there's nothing to showcase that, or they alter the information. And so like, fortunately, Blumberg records all of your monthly meetings. And so I was able to rewatch these meetings that, they told me that was going on. And it's like, that's not going on actually. But as far as in the interview process, always trust your gut. I mean, that's really it. Trust your gut. When you have that thought of like, something don't seem right, just go ahead and bypass it. I don't give a damn thing.
Everybody in the live stream right now, type in me if you agree with Toria. Trust your gut. If you've been burned because you didn't trust your gut, type it in right now. Yeah, we've all learned that hard lesson.
I don't care how qualified they are. Like, just go ahead and trust your gut. So now if I have that slot feeling, I'm like, yep, I'm done. I mean, we just interviewed somebody today and we're like, something ain't right. Does that mean that we're going to go with it? Probably so. But those are things that we've already been there, and it never falls.
Good.
And always verify, especially if you're looking at somebody who's a specialist, verify like all of their resume. There was some missing stuff in their resume, but we trusted it because we're very trustworthy people.
Trusted people, right?
Yeah.
Good.
And so always verify, especially when you're looking for that specialist person.
Beautiful. And then Dr. Dill, what are the traits? What are the traits to choose your personnel? And maybe marketing, but in general, what are some of the biggies for you?
People that are working in your office, they almost interview for the job before they ever interview for the job. They're already active on their own personal social media. They're maybe even pushing the envelope. Hey, can I make some, social media videos or whatever in the office? So they're already kind of showing an interest. People that can finish cycles of action quickly is a good thing, because when it comes to marketing, you work on projects that might last more than an hour or a day or even a week. And if you have somebody that just struggles to finish a cycle of action that should normally take 5 minutes, a project that's going to take a couple weeks just never gets completed. Right. And this could be things like just making t-shirts for the office, just to kind of, boost the morale in the office, or play games. And, people that get so many reviews in a month, they get some cool swag. Well, you want that swag to actually show up.
Right. Beautiful. Love that. Anything else? Anything else that you kind of use?
Yeah. I mean, these people are going to be people that are representing your business. They're going out maybe to partners in the community. They're maybe interacting with external companies like a t-shirt company, a hat company, or something like that. So you want someone that is articulate, has good comm cycles, the ability to just be able to communicate. But their appearance needs to be something that represents the practice well, how they carry themselves. That would also be, some criteria that I would say.
Yeah. And would you say you might have to kiss a few toads to find your prince? I mean, you got Jordan now, who's amazing. Just if it's not the right fit, it's not the right fit, but keep going, right?
Right. Yeah. If you're hiring from outside the walls of your office, you're going to kiss some toads. And I mean, I would extend that to pretty much any position. You're going to kiss a lot of toads. But, if you're hiring someone internally, you can kind of try it on for fit. You can kind of like give them a little bit of slack, have them create some content, see how they do. You already know if they finish cycles of action. You already know how they carry themselves and present themselves. Yeah. So, internally, for me, if you're able to hire internally, that's a little bit more ideal. And then be involved with the meetings. I think that was probably my mistake. Maybe not necessarily me personally being involved, but having a stable datum that was involved. So like right now, Toria is very involved with like meetings that happen with social media. So no major decisions or changes are made unbeknownst to us. Stay involved in that phase one for a long time. We moved into phase two too quickly when we made those mistakes.
Beautiful. Thank you. And I've got one last question because somebody asked it. Implant marketing. And here at Blumberg Digital, we do implant funnels, and people sometimes see the price. They're like, oh, that's a lot of money and the budget's a lot and stuff like that. Your thoughts on implant marketing? If your office offers implants and an implant funnel, what would you say, yay or nay?
Yes, absolutely. If you're wanting to do implants, then you have to do implant funnels. You'll get the trickle in, just from random stuff and people showing up needing it. But if you're wanting to do, the bigger stuff, and not only that, but if you're creating these patient testimonials coming off of these patients that you're working on, implant funnels is prime for that content, to be able to put those videos and stuff in front of patients as they work their way through the funnel. It's, bigger the risk, bigger the reward. So with implant funnels, you're going to see a little bit more patients. You're going to spend a little bit more money per patient. But then again, these are $40,000 and $50,000 cases. You're not doing this to pick up a $2,000 implant.
Right.
Toria's got you want to add to this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're going to have implant funnels with Blumberg, then this is where people make mistakes. Have a designated person working it. You cannot just let somebody willy-nilly working it up front, because it is a dedicated position. Number one, it takes time to be fully infected. People want to give up within the first 4-6 weeks. And I'm like, dude, it takes 8 weeks just to get a return on one of those. You may get some trickling in, but it takes time. It's kind of like how I tell my staff, it's like an engine that you feed coal to. Is that how you say it? Coal? Mm-hmm. And so you got to start feeding that coal to it. And then once it's going, but it's going to take time to get that speed up. So just those two thoughts. And you're thinking about funnels is make sure and you don't have to hire nobody like, making crazy amount of money. You can train somebody to be able to get these appointments going, but have a designated person, give it time to work. That's all.
So good. So good. Guys, I could talk to you all day. I'm going to say this. We're already a minute or so or a few after our time, but I can't thank you enough for coming on and helping everybody here. Everybody, give your feedback in the chat if you would for Dr. Dill and Toria. Let's give them a big, big thank you. Yeah, send those emojis, get them going. Lots of love in the chat there, Dr. and Toria.
Yeah, well, happy to do it. Thank you for hosting us and having us on. We always love doing this.
Yeah. Dr. Toria, thank you again. To everybody who joined us, thanks for joining us. And I think next month, we're going to have Dr. Tricia Corte talk a little bit about social media. Did you like her little presentation at Owners Conference, Dr. Dill?
Yes, that was great.
Yeah.
She's a rock star.
Yeah, she is a rock star. So we're going to keep the activity going up from those that are just killing it. Thank you all for joining us, and we will see you next month on the next Blumberg Digital webinar.